10 days before Christmas, I overheard my cousin planning to humiliate me and cut me out. I quietly changed everything. On Christmas Day, she called, furious. "Where are you?" I laughed. "Check my top drawer." What she found made her scream. I walked into Natalie's house to drop off the cranberry preserves I'd promised for Christmas dinner. The front door was unlocked. It always was when family visited. So I let myself in, calling out a hello that got no response. The hallway was empty. Victorian wallpaper, family photos in mismatched frames, the smell of cinnamon candles. Then I heard my cousin's voice from the kitchen. Sharp, cold, clinical. "Christmas Day," Natalie said. "In front of everyone. That's when we tell him he needs to move out of Grandma's cottage." I froze mid-step. The jar of preserves nearly slipped from my hands. "If we humiliate him publicly," she continued, "he won't fight back. Once everyone sees him as the burden, as the leech who's been living rent-free for 6 years, he'll just leave. And then we can finally expand our property line without his little shack cluttering up the view." Her husband Marcus murmured something I couldn't hear, probably objecting. Marcus was weak, but he wasn't cruel. "He's also in the way," Natalie snapped. "Christmas is perfect. Aunt Linda will be there. Uncle Paul, the cousins, everyone. He won't make a scene in front of them. He'll just take it. And by New Year's, the cottage is ours." My blood turned to ice. I backed out of the hallway silently, set the preserves on the porch, got in my Honda Civic, and drove home with my hands shaking so badly I had to pull over twice. Let me tell you about Grandma Eleanor's cottage. She died 4 years ago, September 2020, during the pandemic. Pneumonia, not COVID, which somehow made it worse. Like the world was ending, and we couldn't even blame it on the thing killing everyone else. Eleanor had 2 properties on Pinecrest Lake. The main house, a sprawling craftsman with a wraparound porch and a view of the water, went to Natalie. She was the oldest grandchild, the one who visited every Sunday, who organized the family reunions, who sent birthday cards. The cottage, a 2-bedroom A-frame set back in the trees, built in 1987, went to me. "Owen gets the quiet one," Grandma had written in her will. "He needs the peace." She wasn't wrong. I'd been living with depression since my early 20s. Lost my job as a graphic designer in 2018 after a breakdown. Spent 6 months on my sister's couch before Grandma invited me to stay in the cottage temporarily. I'd been there 6 years when I overheard Natalie's plan. I'd paid every bill, fixed every leak, replaced the roof in 2021 after a storm tore half the shingles off, repainted the exterior, built a garden. The cottage was legally mine, title transferred, property taxes in my name, but to Natalie, I was still just the charity case, cluttering her inheritance. The main house sat on 2 acres, the cottage sat on 1. Together they formed 3 acres of prime lakefront property worth about $800,000. Separately, the cottage was worth maybe $200,000. Natalie wanted it all. That night, I sat in the cottage that still smelled like Grandma's lavender sachets and stared at the wall. 10 days until Christmas. I opened the safe in my closet, the one Grandma had given me with the combination written on a post-it note, "For important things, E." Inside, my birth certificate, social security card, the property deed, and a folder from Martin Reeves, the estate lawyer who'd handled Grandma's will. I'd been avoiding that folder for 4 years. Time to open it. Inside was a letter from Martin, dated September 2020. "Owen, if you're reading this after Eleanor's death, please call me. There are things about the estate we need to discuss. Protection she wanted in place that we never finalized. Natalie contested some of the will provisions, and while I resolved it in your favor, Eleanor wanted to ensure the cottage remained untouchable. Call me. Don't wait." Martin Reeves, estate attorney, 28 years practicing law. I'd never called. Too depressed, too overwhelmed, too grateful to even have a roof over my head. Now I pulled out my phone. "Martin Reeves. Mr. Reeves, this is Owen Dalton, Eleanor Dalton's grandson." Silence. Then, "Owen, I've been waiting 4 years for this call." We met the next morning at his office in downtown Pinecrest. Martin was in his 60s, gray beard, reading glasses on a chain, shelves lined with legal volumes. "Tell me what's happening," he said. I told him. Everything. The overheard conversation. Natalie's plan to humiliate me on Christmas Day. The property grab. Martin's face darkened. "And you've been paying the property taxes?" "Every year. $3,200 annually. I have receipts." "Utilities?" "Everything. Electric, water, internet. The cottage is legally mine." "Then why are you worried?" I hesitated. "Because Natalie's persuasive. She convinced our family I was a burden after Grandma died. If she stands up at Christmas dinner and says I'm taking advantage, that I'm living rent-free on family land, that Grandma never meant for me to stay this long, they'll believe her." Martin leaned back. "Owen, let me be very clear. Natalie has no legal claim to your property. The will was airtight. I made sure of it. But social pressure is not the law." He opened a drawer, pulled out a folder. "However, you're right to be concerned. Your grandmother anticipated this. She left instructions for a trust." "A trust?" "The cottage would be placed in an irrevocable irrevocable living trust with you as the sole beneficiary. It would be untouchable. No one, not Natalie, not creditors, not even you if you made bad decisions, could take it from you. Eleanor wanted it set up immediately after her death, but you never returned my calls. Shame burned through me. I was not in a good place. I understand, but we can do it now. It'll take a week to file the paperwork. Cost you $200 in legal fees. Do it. Martin smiled. There's one more thing. Eleanor left a fund, $50,000 in a separate account, to cover your legal expenses if Natalie ever challenged the inheritance. That money is still there. I can use it to finalize the trust and handle any future disputes. I stared at him. Grandma left me a legal defense fund? She knew her family, particularly Natalie. Martin pulled out another document. There's also this. Did you know Natalie tried to have you declared mentally incompetent 6 months after Eleanor died? My stomach dropped. What? She filed a petition claiming you were unable to manage property due to depression. She wanted herself appointed as your guardian, with control over the cottage. How did I not know about this? Because I fought it hard, got it dismissed within 2 weeks. But Owen, your cousin, is not going to stop. She wants that land. Then let's make sure she never gets it. Over the next 3 days, I worked with Martin to finalize the trust. The paperwork was dense, complicated, full of legal language I barely understood, but the core was simple. The cottage belonged to the Owen Dalton Irrevocable Living Trust. I was the trustee and beneficiary. Upon my death, it would go to my sister's kids. Natalie's name appeared nowhere in the documents. This is effective immediately, Martin said, stamping the final page. I'm filing it with the county recorder tomorrow. By Friday, it'll be on public record. Can she challenge it? She can try. But irrevocable means irrevocable. Even you can't undo this without court approval. It's bulletproof. I shook his hand. Thank you. Owen, there's something else you should know. Martin hesitated. Your cousin made you her emergency contact on several legal documents after Eleanor died. Healthcare proxy, power of attorney, banking. I didn't agree to that. You didn't have to. She just listed you. It's common in families, but it means she has access to some of your information. Medical records, financial accounts. My blood went cold. What do? Revoke it immediately and check every account you have access to. Banks, credit cards, everything. That afternoon I called my bank, First National, where I'd had an account since college. Mr. Dalton, how can I help you? The banker, Cheryl Wu, according to her email signature, sounded friendly. I need to check who has access to my accounts. Typing sounds. Let me pull that up. Okay, your checking account. You have one co-signer, Natalie Brennan. What? She was added in October 2020. You signed the authorization form. I didn't sign anything. More typing. The signature on file matches yours. Would you like me to send you a copy? Yes, and I want her removed. Today. I can remove her, but I need you to come in and sign new paperwork. Can you be here by 4? I'll be there in 20 minutes. I drove to the bank in a fog. October 2020, 1 month after Grandma died. I'd been barely functional, sleeping 14 hours a day, not eating. Natalie had been helping with everything. Bills, groceries, legal paperwork. Had she forged my signature? At the bank, Cheryl pulled up the authorization form on her computer. My signature, or a pretty good imitation of it, sat at the bottom. Can I see the original? I asked. It was scanned and shredded per our document retention policy. But Mr. Dalton, if you're concerned about fraud, I am. I want her removed from every account, and I want to open a new account at a different bank. We can do that. But if money has been moved, check the transaction history. She did. Her face went pale. Mr. Dalton, there have been quite a few transfers. Small amounts. $200 here, $500 there. Mostly to an account belonging to Natalie Brennan. How much total? Over the past 4 years, approximately $23,000. The room tilted. I sat in Cheryl's office while she printed 4 years of bank statements. Page after page of transfers I'd never authorized. $300 on November 3rd, 2020. $450 on December 18th, 2020. $600 on February 2nd, 2021. The pattern was clear, small enough that I wouldn't notice, frequent enough that it added up. This is theft, I said. It's definitely unauthorized access. You'll want to contact the police. Not yet. I thought about Christmas. 10 days away. I want to handle this differently. Can you prepare a full accounting? Every transfer, with dates and amounts? I can have it ready by tomorrow. Perfect. And Cheryl, one more thing. I loaned Natalie $8,000 in October. She promised to pay me back in January. Do I have any legal recourse to get it back? She winced. That depends. Did you document it? I have texts. She asked for the money. I sent it. She said she'd repay it. Then yes, you can send a formal demand letter. If she doesn't pay, you can sue in small claims court. Do you know a good lawyer for that? She smiled. I know exactly who you need. Jennifer Park was a collections attorney who worked 2 blocks from the bank. Late 30s, sharp blazer, an office decorated with framed case judgments. Cheryl called ahead, she said, shaking my hand. She said you have an interesting situation. I laid out everything. The theft, the loan, the Christmas Day ambush. Jennifer listened without interrupting. Then she pulled out a legal pad. Here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to draft a formal demand letter for the $8,000 loan. We'll include the text messages as evidence and add a 10% penalty clause for late payment. Under state law, personal loans accrue interest at 8% annually, but the penalty clause is enforceable if you stated it in your original agreement. I didn't. Then we'll add it now. She either pays or we sue. Second, we're filing a police report for the unauthorized bank transfers. That's felony theft over $10,000. Third, she paused. What do you want to happen on Christmas Day? I want her to know I know. I want her to panic. And I want her to face consequences. Jennifer smiled. I like the way you think. By December 20th, I had everything ready. The trust documents filed and recorded with the county. My name removed from Natalie's emergency contact list. Every dollar transferred from First National to a new account at Pacific Credit Union, where Natalie's name appeared nowhere. Jennifer had prepared 3 legal documents. 1. A formal demand letter for the $8,000 loan due January 15th. 2. A notice of intent to file criminal charges for unauthorized bank access. 3. A cease and desist letter prohibiting Natalie from contacting me or entering my property. Martin had added a 4th document, a restraining order petition, ready to file if Natalie escalated. You're prepared, Martin said when we met on December 23rd. But Owen, be careful. Cornering someone like Natalie can be dangerous. She was planning to humiliate me in front of my entire family, and you're about to humiliate her. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying have a plan for what comes next. I do. I'm leaving town on Christmas Eve. I won't be there when she finds out. On Christmas Eve, I packed a bag, drove 4 hours north to a bed and breakfast in Ashland, Oregon, a quiet place near the mountains. No cell service, no one who knew me. Before I left, I placed everything in a folder, the trust documents, the bank statements showing Natalie's theft, the demand letter for the loan, the cease and desist, and a handwritten note on the top. I know what you planned. You will not decide my life. I left the folder in the top drawer of my dresser. Then I locked the cottage and drove away. Christmas Day. My phone buzzed at 12:47 p.m. I was sitting in a cafe overlooking the mountains, drinking coffee, reading a book I'd been meaning to finish for 2 years. Natalie's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring. She called again and again, 6 times in 10 minutes. Finally, I answered. Where the hell are you? Her voice was shrill, panicked. Everyone's here. You're embarrassing me. I took a sip of coffee, watched the snow fall outside the window. Natalie, I said calmly, go to my cottage, check the top drawer of my dresser. Silence. What? Top drawer, dresser. You'll need the spare key I gave you. Oh wait, you made a copy of that, didn't you? For emergencies? Owen, what are you? Go now. I hung up. 23 minutes later, my phone exploded. 11 missed calls, 4 voicemails, a barrage of texts. What is this? You can't do this to me. Call me now. Then the voicemail I'd been waiting for. Natalie's voice shaking, hysterical. You put the cottage in a trust? You can't. That's not. Owen, everyone is asking where you are. What am I supposed to tell them? That you just left? That you... A crash. Something breaking in the background. Then her voice, low and venomous. You were listening. That day. You heard me. She hung up. I finished my coffee. Ordered lunch. A turkey sandwich with cranberry sauce. Appropriate for the holiday. My phone rang again. Marcus this time. Owen, his voice was tight. What the hell is going on? Natalie's locked herself in the bathroom. She won't stop crying. You need to come back and explain. Explain what, Marcus? That I protected my property? That I took back the $23,000 your wife stole from me? That I'm demanding repayment of the $8,000 loan she promised to return? She didn't steal. Check the bank statements I left in the folder. Page 7 highlighted. 4 years of unauthorized transfers. Cheryl Wu at First National will confirm it. And Marcus, your wife tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so she could take my house. Silence. Long, awful silence. I didn't know about that. Of course you didn't. Because Natalie doesn't tell you anything unless it benefits her. I heard muffled crying through the phone. Natalie, still in the bathroom. What do you want? Marcus asked quietly. Nothing from you, but your wife has 2 options. 1, she pays back the $31,000 she owes me, the loan plus the stolen money, and leaves me alone forever. 2, I file criminal charges and a civil lawsuit. Her choice. Owen, I'm done being the family burden. I'm done apologizing for existing. Tell Natalie she has until January 15th to decide. I hung up. The next call came from Uncle Paul, Grandma Eleanor's younger brother, the family patriarch since she died. Owen, his voice was warm, concerned. Are you okay? I'm fine, Uncle Paul. Natalie's telling everyone you had a breakdown, that you took off without warning, that you're not answering calls. I answered yours. He chuckled. That you did. What's really going on? I told him. Not everything. I didn't mention the theft yet. Didn't want to poison the well. But enough. The overheard conversation. Natalie's plan to humiliate me. My decision to leave. Jesus, Uncle Paul muttered. Owen, I'm sorry. I had no idea she was planning that. No one did. That was the point. Where are you now? Somewhere quiet. Somewhere safe. Good. Stay there. I'm going to have a talk with Natalie. Uncle Paul, don't... Owen, your grandmother loved you. She gave you that cottage because she knew you needed it. If Natalie's trying to take that away, she's disrespecting respecting Eleanor's wishes. I won't let that stand. My throat tightened. Thank you. Merry Christmas, kid. Merry Christmas. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with a text from Uncle Paul. Your cousin just admitted everything. The plan to embarrass you, the property grab. She broke down in front of the whole family. Aunt Linda is furious. Merry Christmas, kid. I read the message 3 times. Then I walked outside into the snow and laughed until my chest hurt. The next morning, Jennifer Park called. Merry day after Christmas, she said. I got a call from Natalie's lawyer. She wants to settle. What are her terms? Full repayment of the $8,000 loan by January 31st, an apology, and an agreement not to press charges for the bank theft. No, Owen, she stole $23,000 from me. I want it back, with interest, and I'm not agreeing to anything that lets her off the hook. Jennifer paused. You're sure? Because a settlement avoids court. It's faster, cleaner. I don't want clean. I want consequences. Okay, she sounded impressed. Then we file a civil suit for the full amount, $31,000 plus interest and legal fees, and I'll contact Detective Lisa Moreno at Pinecrest PD about the theft charges. Do it. Detective Moreno met me at a coffee shop in Ashland 2 days later. She'd driven 4 hours to take my statement. Mr. Dalton, she said, settling into the booth across from me. I've been with Pinecrest PD for 19 years. I've worked financial crimes for 12, and I have to say, your case is one of the clearest I've seen. She spread out the bank statements Cheryl had provided. Your cousin had cosigner access, which technically allowed her to make withdrawals, but the pattern here, small, frequent transfers over 4 years, indicates ongoing theft. Add the fact that she allegedly forged your signature to gain that access, and we're looking at felony charges. What happens next? I submit this to the district attorney. They decide whether to file charges. Given the evidence, they'll file. She nodded. Probably. But Mr. Dalton, I need to ask, are you prepared for the fallout? Criminal charges against a family member? It tends to tear families apart. I thought about Christmas Day, about Natalie screaming into her phone, about Uncle Paul's text. Aunt Linda is furious. Detective, my family was already torn apart. I'm just making sure everyone knows who did it. I stayed in Ashland through New Year's, hiked in the mountains, read 3 books, slept without nightmares for the first time in years. On January 2nd, Jennifer called. The DA is filing charges. Felony theft, felony forgery, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Natalie's arraignment is January 18th. Vulnerable adult? Oregon law. Because of your documented depression, you qualify. It carries harsher penalties. Good. Owen, there's something else. Natalie's husband filed for divorce. I sat up. Marcus? Yesterday. He's citing fraud and emotional abuse. Apparently, Natalie took out a home equity loan on their house without his knowledge. $85,000. She told him it was for renovations, but he found out she used it to buy a rental property in her name only. Jesus. Yeah, Marcus is not messing around. He hired Patricia Vance. She's the best divorce attorney in Pinecrest. Natalie's going to lose everything. The civil suit went to trial in March. Small claims court, maximum damages $10,000, so Jennifer had to split it into multiple filings, but the evidence was overwhelming. Natalie didn't show up to the first hearing. The judge awarded me a default judgment, $10,000 plus legal fees. She didn't show up to the second hearing. Another default judgment, $10,000. By the time the third hearing rolled around in April, Natalie had lost her house in the divorce. Her credit cards were maxed out, and she was living in a studio apartment in Salem. She showed up to that hearing, looked terrible, thin, pale, dark circles under her eyes. Jennifer presented the evidence, the texts asking for the loan, the bank statements showing the unauthorized transfers, my testimony, calm and factual, explaining everything. The judge didn't even deliberate. Ms. Brennan, you owe Mr. Dalton $11,000 plus interest and legal fees. Payment plan of $500 per month until the debt is satisfied. Failure to comply will result in wage garnishment. Natalie stared at the table, didn't say a word. Outside the courthouse, she finally looked at me. I hope you're happy, she said. I'm not, I replied, but I'm free. That's enough. The criminal trial lasted 3 days. June 2024. Detective Moreno testified. Cheryl Wu testified. Martin Reeves explained the forged signature on the bank documents. Jennifer Park walked the jury through 4 years of theft. Natalie's lawyer tried to argue that the cosigner access gave her legal authority to make transfers. The prosecutor, Amanda Reyes, 15 years in the DA's office, tore that argument apart. Your Honor, the defendant systematically transferred funds from Mr. Dalton's account while he was grieving and vulnerable. She forged his signature to gain access. She used that access to steal $23,000 over 4 years. This is not a family misunderstanding. This is premeditated financial abuse. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Natalie was sentenced to 18 months in prison, eligible for parole after 9. She was also ordered to pay full restitution, $31,000 plus interest. I sat in the courtroom and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just tired. Uncle Paul sat next to me, squeezed my shoulder. Eleanor would be proud of you, he said quietly. quietly. I sold Grandma's cottage in August 2024. Got $240,000 for it, more than I expected. Used the money to buy a small condo in Portland, 2 hours north. A fresh start, a place with no memories. Natalie served 7 months and was released in January 2025. I heard through Uncle Paul that she moved to Seattle, works as a receptionist at a dental office, lives with a roommate. We haven't spoken since the trial. Marcus sends me a Christmas card every year. We're not close, but he appreciated that I didn't drag him into the mess. He remarried last spring, a woman named Beth who teaches middle school. They seem happy. I'm doing better now, seeing a therapist twice a month, working part-time as a freelance designer, saving money, building a life that feels like mine. Sometimes people ask if I regret it, pressing charges, destroying my relationship with Natalie, tearing the family apart, and I tell them the truth. I didn't tear the family apart. I just refused to be the one who disappeared quietly. Grandma Eleanor left me that cottage because she knew I needed it, because she saw me, really saw me, when everyone else just saw a burden. Natalie tried to take that away, tried to erase me on Christmas Day in front of everyone I loved, but I got there first. Last week I got a letter, handwritten, no return address. Inside was a single sentence. I'm sorry. Natalie's handwriting. I read it once, then I folded it and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'll respond, maybe I won't. But today, I'm sitting on my balcony in Portland, drinking coffee, watching the rain, and I'm free. That's all I ever wanted.